really wanted to be honest about where, like what that would look like in terms of maybe like an achievement or something that would make me feel like I've been successful on my journey. And so, one of the first things that popped up in my head is I'd love to have a full-on conversation with my dad in just Samoan. Like, even for me growing up, sometimes there would be, I'd make one or two Samoan friends and they knew how to speak it. And then it would be like, oh, do you want to come to my house? And I'd be like, okay, sure. Like, and then I'd tell my dad, like, before we went, Dad, there's Samoan. And he's like, okay. So we get out of the car, he'd go straight to the dad and then start talking in Samoan. Like, he'd introduce himself and everything. And whoever my friend was at the time, they'd stand there and look at me like, I thought you didn't speak Samoan. And I'm like, no, my dad does.
Yeah.
So to be able to converse with him, and even some of, like, at the moment, I know that some of his aunties and uncles are still with us, to be able to, sit down while they're talking. I know there is an auntie of mine who used to live here, but she's now back in Auckland. But I would try to jump on some of the family calls, and she would see my face, because even though at the beginning they'll say, oh, it's okay, like we'll stop every now and then to let those who don't understand know what we're talking about. But it wouldn't happen. And so, yeah, she would, she'd try to pause and just tell me like, oh, they're just talking about this. And to be able to, in 5 years' time, just turn around and be able to respond to her and just jump into the conversations, I think that would be, that would definitely be a huge sign of, success on my journey, to be able to do that. In terms of my mum's side, my Niuean side, I definitely want to be able to go home and see where my grandmother is from, where my grandfather is from. So far, my grandmother came across when she was a teenager. She went back once when I was maybe like 11, 12. And since then she's passed on. But yeah, so she only went home that once. Two of her children went at that time, and I think it was maybe two of her grandchildren. So to be able to go home to where she's from and just be able to see, where she spent her childhood, be able to partake in some of the traditions and stuff like there on that land, I think would be huge.